My name is Vin, and today I'm going to make another video. I'll read this book again, and up there's disco lights. I don't want to turn all the lights off. Well, if you turn off all the lights, the disco would be cool. But except one problem, and I want some light on so I can read. So we were on chapter 2, right? Yeah, chapter 2. I'm gonna read chapter 2. Okay, chapter 2. Chapter 2, the 13th floor. How do you feel? Janel asked Joey. He checked his arm. The green power meter glowed as it went down a tiny, almost imperceptible amount. I'm fine, see? He held his arm out for her to see. That was hardly anything. Good. Janel rubbed her eyes together, her hands together, eager to follow in the other's footsteps. Our turn now. Right. Joey tucked the wand up his sleeve and strapped his backpack on his back. Rather than use the wand to send them on their way, he used a cane to hook a latch in the attic floor above their heads. A set of stairs followed out from behind it. Joey and Janel went up through the opening and came out through a trapdoor in the stage floor, down below. After that, they lowered themselves into the orchestra pit and walked up the aisle towards the lobby. When they got there, Joey paused a moment, struck by the sight of the old poster of Really Don't Know that still hung on the wall. Wait, guys. I'm gonna turn off the disco lights because whenever, if we use too much of its battery, it might run out of disco lights. I don't want that to happen. Okay, better. Well, it's kind of boring without the disco lights, but it's fine. I just turned it off because I don't want to waste every battery of it. He needed a second to psych himself up before he took another step. At that moment, Shazad, who was hiking across a city-sized iceberg in the Arctic Ocean, and Lenora was climbing up an active volcano in the North Pacific. But he and Janel had the most perilous journey of all. They had to cross the street. For Joey, it meant going back to where it all began. The place where he had first encountered magic and the invisible hand. The headquarters, or HQ, of the National Isolation of Tests and Limits. Joey's life had changed in so many ways since that fateful day yeah. He had learned about the world and how it really worked, or didn't work, and what the people in the building across the street had to do with it. Joey had extensively researched Ledger day job at the NATL, where he went by the alias Mr. Black in the course of his investigation. But Joey discovered that the NATL was not a private company, but rather a subsidiary of a much larger entity called Consolidated Global Interest, CGI, was a sprawling corporate empire the biggest and most powerful company in the world. It was also a front for the invisible hand, which explained why it was almost impossible to find anything written about it anywhere. Maybe I should turn at least one of the lights on. It's pretty dark, I feel like. There. Lights on, at least some lights are on. Which explains why it was almost impossible to find anything written about it anywhere. What Joey was able to find confirmed that the NATL building was actually the CGI building, and the man in charge of it all was responsible for a lot worse than manipulated test scores. Joey and Janelle were going to break into his office, and the plan couldn't have been simpler. They were going to walk in the front door. It's funny, Joey said as they approached the dark tower. The first time I saw this place, it made me think of a super villain fortress. Very perceptive of you, Janelle replied, reaching for the door. Comic books taught me well. The main entrance of the CGI building was locked. The main entrance was locked, which came as no surprise. There was a security guard at the desk behind the glass door. She wasn't terribly interested in Joey or Janelle, and barely looked up from her phone when they tried to get in. I was hoping I wouldn't have to use this thing, Joey said, making a face as he took the hand of Glory out of his backpack. It was the severed left hand of a thief, mummified and bloodless, but no less disgusting for all that. Joey had first come across the item in Transylvania a year ago. He and his friends had gone back to retrieve it after their quest for Camelot had ended. Joey hated it there, but going through Dracula's castle was much easier than second time around. Once they knew there were no real vampires inside, unfortunately, touching the hand of Glory never got any easier for Joey. It was wrapped in a cloth. He had wanted to use a Ziploc bag for it, but Jana was dead, set against single-use plastic with no exception. Ugh, he said, wrapping his finger around the wrist like a handle. So gross. Suddenly he could see as clearly as if it were 10 a.m., but that wasn't why Joey needed the hand. In addition to granting its holder the ability to see in the dark, a hand of Glory had the power to unlock any door. Joey tapped the fingers of the hand against the pane of glass in front of him and heard a latch click. He and Janelle pushed through the revolving doors and stroked into the lobby. Now the security guard took an interest in them. "Excuse me, the building's closed." "You kids can't come in here," she said, striding towards them. As Joey wrapped the hand back up, the guard pushed past him to inspect the door. "How'd you even get this open? It was locked." "I know, I locked it." She was a tough-looking woman. He clearly took her job seriously. and would have been intimidating under normal circumstances. But these were anything but normal circumstances. Don't worry about it, Janet told her. We're just here to pick up something. Something up. Pick something up. What are you talking about? We'll be in and out 10 minutes tops. The security guard snorted out aloud. Try 10 seconds tops. Playtime's over, kid. Let's go. You can't be here right now. Yes, we can, Jado said, polishing a red ruby brooch that was pinned to the lapel of her jacket. A crimson glow appeared on the gray guard's face. It's okay, really. The more the guard stared at the jewel, the more her eyes went blank. Eventually, a red glow appeared in the center of her pupil. And she said, It's okay. Her voice was completely monotoned. Any trace of confrontation had been drained out of it. We have an important meeting on the 13th floor, Janelle told her. That was why chapter 2 was the 13th floor. They're going to the 13th floor. They're trying to go to. You have a meeting upstairs, and we don't want to be late. The guard nodded slowly, staring at the jewel. You better hurry, she said. She gestured towards the elevator bank with a sweeping motion. This way, please. Joey and Janelle followed the guard to the elevators. She kept looking back at Janelle's red ruby brooch as she walked, unable to take her eyes off it for more than a few seconds at a time. The enchanted crystal, which made people very susceptible to suggestion, was another new addiction to the Order Majestic's arsenal. It had previously belonged to a woman called Scarlet, who had been part of an invisible hand. She had used the sparkling relic against Shazad in Transylvania, but lost it after a confrontation in the Amazon on the road to Camelot. By the time that adventure was over, Scarlet would suffer more grievous losses, including the ability to do magic altogether. She had no further use for the ruby, so Joey, Shazad, Lenora, and Jana had made a special trip to South America to find it. It took the better part of a week in an exhaustive grid search of the area surrounding a village that had been completely swallowed up by the jungle, but in the end, they reclaimed the magic item from the rainforest. Jana was the one who had found the gem, and she had taken quite a shine to it. So had the guard, but in very different ways, and not one that she would ever understand. When they reached the elevator, Janelle told the guard to stay in the lobby. You're doing an excellent job, she added. The guard lifted up. I'll just redirect the camera for a sec, like that better. Reached the elevator, Janelle told the guard to stay in the lobby. You're doing an excellent job, she added. The guard lifted up, clearly very proud of herself. I'm doing an excellent job. As soon as these doors close, you're going to forget about us and go back to your desk. The security guard nodded as if accepting an order. As soon as these doors close, I'm going to. The elevator doors shut, cutting her off mid-sentence. Joey hit the button for the 14th floor. Nice work with the Gendy mind trick. That couldn't have gone any better. I'm not using the force, Janelle said with a little side eye. It's hypnosis. I did the research on this. The introduction. Induction. Is it called induction? It says it doesn't have the tro, so it's induction. Induction. Phrase. Flashing the ruby quiets the part of the brain involving sensory perception and emotional response. The suggestion. Phrase. Telling the guard what to do counteracts unhelpful and unwanted behavior. General, just admit it. You're using a magic ruby. I'm using it as a catalyst for a well-studied and legitimate form of treatment by medical doctors and therapists. Joy had to laugh. Despite everything Jano had seen and been a part of, her scientific instincts died hard. Over the last year, she had been able to use a variety of magical objects, but only when she was able to view them through the lenses of some kind of specific principle. You might have to rethink the way you look at magic before this is all over. I don't have a limited view of magic, General argued. If anything, I have a bigger view. My view includes science. I don't see them as opposites. Magic is just science. We don't understand yet. Joey put his hands up. If that helps you, he had heard this argument before. Go with it until it stops working. Giallo stared at a digital screen on the wall in front of him. He was installed just above the button for each floor and cycled through images, sat and incorporated slogans. While he and Giallo debated the fine line between magic and science, it was all public-friendly PR stuff from the many businesses CGI owned and operated. As usual, there wasn't a single mention of CGI to be found in any of it. Even in their own building, the company kept a low profile. CGI was a massive conglomerate that spanned every major industry on Earth, including financial services, energy, medical, media, education, transportation, aeronautics, technology, and arms manufacturing. They were so big that in some countries it was hard for Joey to tell where the national government ended and CGI began, but somehow they managed to fly almost completely under the world's radar. Consolidated global interest was not a name people knew. It was a holding corporation that owned a lot of other companies, including the bank that had acquired the accounting firm where Joey's father worked. When Joey thought about the motives behind the transaction, he was grateful that Ledger de Maine no longer knew he was. There was no business reason for an enterprise the size of CGI to buy Joey's father's tiny firm. It could only have been done to gain leverage and influence over Joey. That was how Ledger de Maine stayed on top of the world, by exercising influence from the shadows. He was always 2 steps ahead, pulling strings from behind the scenes to manipulate events to his advantage. CGI was a was a far-reaching spiderweb that covered the globe, and Demane sat at the center, connected to everything. Wherever and whenever magic appeared in the world, he and his invisible hand colonies would skitter across the web to get there first, wrap it up, and vanish before anyone knew what had happened. Ironically, it was the acquisition of his father's firm that had tipped Joey off to CGI's existence. That and the fact that the company's corporate headquarters, or HQ, had the same address as the NATL. Once Joey started digging, he even found an article that mentioned Ledger Demane by name, or more accurately, his fake name. It was buried in the middle of a news story about another one of CGI's curious acquisition. The article had credited John Black as the force behind several unconventional business decisions that had paid off surprisingly well, and noted that he was rarely seen outside his 13th floor office, where he was always hard at work plotting the company's next big move. The elevator dinged, announcing the 14th floor. It was an unwritten rule that no building in New York should have a 13th floor. The number in every elevator Joey had even been to skipped from 12 to 14 had ever been to skipped because of pure superstition, and everyone just accepted it as normal. Joey viewed it as proof that people still had the capacity for magic thinking. Even the most pragmatic, fact-based designer and architect understood that no one wanted to live or work on a floor with such an unlucky number, and they constructed the world accordingly. At least that's how it was in Western culture. Joey wondered if building in China skipped the 4th floor, which was an unlucky number in Chinese culture. Either way, Joey understood that a belief in unknowable, unprovable thing impacted people's lives and behavior every day all over the world, and that knowledge gave him hope. When the elevator door parted, Joey and Janel stepped out into the dark and quiet space, the lights flickering on, triggered by motion sensor, revealing an open office floor plan with rows of empty desks and blank monitors. Private offices and conferences rooms lined the perimeter of the floor. They all had glass walls that offered no privacy. I'm gonna look what page will be in chapter 3, because we'll stop at chapter 3. This is chapter 2. We're gonna stop at chapter 3. Until chapter 3. Alright? Okay. 53. We'll stop at page 53. Right now on page 44. Remember, this is chapter 2 to chapter 3. And I'm almost at chapter 3. When the elevator doors parted, Joey and Janel stepped down into the dark and quiet space. The lights flickered on, triggered by motion sensor. Oh yeah, I said that. Private offices I said that already. Sorry. I just don't know what I had said already and hadn't said. I found it. Joey and Jano took a moment to survey the scene. It was all very corporate, sterile, and boring. I expected something different, Jano said. I'm gonna see how many battery you have left. 83% of battery. I still have time to record my videos. Me too, Joey said. I was here before, back when this was a testing center. I was here before, back when this was a testing center. It didn't look anything like this. They could have renovated. Maybe Joey pictured the floor filled with employees during the day. He couldn't imagine legerdemain spending any amount of time crowded with the people who worked here. He was the kind of guy who would have wanted his space in the glass-walled office where a non-starter. Demain was allergic to transparency. Joey knew right then and there he was in the wrong place. Demain's office, assuming he really had one, would be something fancier, more exclusive, special. He returned to the elevators and hit the call button. "What's wrong?" Jano asked as the doors opened up. "This isn't it. Back in the elevator." Joey hit the button for the lobby, taking the car down. "Don't worry, we're not leaving. I've got an idea." As soon as the digital display with the floor numbers started to change, he activated the emergency brake. Joey did it right after the number 14 dimmed out, but just before the number 12 lit up, effectively halting the car in between the two floors. Hit the doors open button a few times, but nothing happened. "Need a hand?" Jano asked. It took a split second for Joey to realize she was talking about the one in his bag. He groaned, forced to use the hand of glory. He groaned, forced to use the hand of glory for a second time. Joey took it out and tapped it against the elevator door. They opened immediately. "Whoa," Jano said, her lips forming a surprised O. So Jano's mouth made an O shape. I'm trying to do that. Surprise O. "Whoa, this is right. Whoa, is right," Joey agreed. "This is the 13th floor." Outside the elevator was an impossibly large space with a 50-foot ceiling, which was especially noteworthy as the floor they had just left was 15 feet away at most. A jet black bridge ran out from the threshold of the door, extending at least 100 yards feet away at most. A jet black bridge ran out from the threshold of the door, extending at least 100 yards. Beneath the bridge there was darkness, smoke, and as far as Joey could see, no floor. Across the room, a series of massive beams rose out of the abyss, curving over the bridge to form a particle tunnel. At the end of the tunnel was a door. "Where did all this come from?" Jano asked. "Don't ask me. All I know is that where we've got to go." Joey pointed to the door. "It's not that far." As soon as they set foot on the bridge, there was a sound like a giant switch thrown from off to on, and the giant room lit up with an ominous red glow. Joey and Jano froze in place. "So much for sneaking in unnoticed," Jano said. Joey looked around to see if anyone was coming to get them. There was no one there, but there was also no way out. The elevator door had closed behind him and faded away, becoming a part of a wall. No turning back, Joey thought. What else is new? In the crimson light, he scanned the room for threats. Joey couldn't put his finger on, but something about the wall bothered him. He ran his hand over the smooth, shiny black stones and that the elevator door had transformed into. They were the size of shipping crates, stacked with geometric precision. They covered the room except for one spot. One of the stones was missing. Joey was so busy staring at the hole in the wall, he almost didn't see the stone that had recently vacated that space. It was barreling down the bridge, about to run him over. What? Look out! Jano leaped forward and swung the staff of Sorso into the giant block. Sparks flew as she cleaved it saving Joey's life. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. That's what Newton third law. That's what Newton say. Right? Newton's third law. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction, Jano said, citing Newton's third law of motion. I remember Ryan. If you watch Ryan's World, then you probably know this. A few of his videos, like in past, he talked about the Newton's laws. There's the apple law, there's the opposite reaction law, and the third one. There were 3 laws, and the every action has an equal and opposite reaction. That was one of his laws, Newton's laws. I can't believe it said it in the book. This staff, whatever it's made of absorbing kinetic energy and redirects it. The more things you hit with the staff, the stronger it gets, right? Right, Joey said distractedly. He wasn't sure if Janel's explanation was scientifically accurate, or just a rationalization on her part. But he wasn't complaining. That works. Let's go with that. He took a deep breath, still processing his narrow escape, as Janel spun the staff around, ready for the next assault. As Joey watched the 2 halves of the block far away and disappear into the darkness below the bridge, he shared Shazad's gratitude that the staff had been returned. He and Janel were going to need it. All around, Joey saw the mighty stone blocks that made up the walls rattling in their sockets, getting loose. This was the building's real security system, and he had a feeling it was far more effective at stopping intruders than the guard in the lobby. However tough she might have been, they were going to need more than Janel's red ruby to cross the bridge. Joey gripped the orange gemstone Leonora had given him tight in his fist. Hoping it would be enough. Ready? Janel moved aside as Joey charged up the firestone. After you. With his fists glowing like the embers of a fire, Joey stepped forward. He didn't get 2 feet below another black stone broke free of the wall and swooped down to the bridge, headed straight for him. Joey planted his feet as the blocks closed in and fired a blazing punch into the center. Oh, yeah! Blazing punch into the center, blasting it to bits, his fists still crackling with energy. He shuffled to the left and threw his arm out to the right, handing a second stone that was already upon him. Rock fragment, big and small, flew out in every direction. Joey had to turn away to shield his eyes, and when he looked back, a dirt stone was seconds away. He wasn't ready for it. Fortunately, Jana was. She darted ahead of Joey, stabbing the end of her staff into the stone, destroying it before it reached him. "That's 2 you owe me," Jana said. "Something tells me I'll get the chance to pay you back." The next salvo of a large stone was on its way. Janel's eyes widened. "Go!" They took off, running down the bridge. The blocks came down with vagueness, coming at them from all sides. Joey and Janel fought their way forward, covering each other's backs as they went. Joey drove his fist through block after block, and the staff of Sorcio became a blur as Janel swung it back and forth, obliterating every obstacle in her path. It was a tough slog, but they were making progress, and Joey felt himself getting the hang of it. He was just hitting his stride when the room tilted sideways. After that, it went upside down. "Talk about unexpected twists," Joey said, surprised to find his feet still anchored to the bridge. "You okay?" he asked Janel, trying to concentrate here. She answered, "Whoa! So when it flips, you're gonna be on the other side." It'll be upside down. You'll be an upside down person. Because whenever something flips, let's say for example, a house, if the house flips, everything flips. Like, so flips, and then I'll be on the ceiling, and then the ceiling will be on the bottom. It'll be confusing. Alright? Joey said, surprised to find his... "Okay?" he asked Janel, trying to concentrate here, she answered, slicing through a slice the size of a buffalo. From Joey's point of view, the broken pieces of stone seemed to fall up rather than down. It was a disorienting optical illusion, which of course was the whole point of flipping the room. Joey forced himself to stay focused on the blocks and keep going. It wasn't easy fighting while inverted, but he took some solace in the fact that it was nearly over. The wall was running out of stones to throw at them. Soon there was nothing left but a couple rows of stone blocks on either side of the bridge. Joey breathed a sigh of relief, but that feeling was short-lived. A sound like a freight train running over tracks at high speed echoed through the room as the wall rebuilt itself. Stone wall unfolded like an accordion, and within a second, a fully replenished wall was ready to start over at square one. "I can't keep this up forever," Janel said to Joey. He could hear the strain in her voice. "I don't think we meant to," Joey replied, also running out of steam. He felt like a character in a video game, moving up to a more difficult level. But he and Janel didn't have 3 lives. He thought about using the one, but he didn't want to go there yet. He had to use his power sparingly, or he wouldn't live through this adventure. Of course, he wasn't likely to live through getting crushed or knocked off the bridge either. He was still going back and forth on what to do when every piece of the wall came alive at once. The giant stone block when every piece of the stone wall came alive at once. Those giant stone blocks hovered in the air, poised them to overwhelm Joey and Janel in simultaneous barrage. The 2 friends looked at each other in terror. Run! Janelle screamed. They made a break for the tunnel, covering the door at the end of the bridge. Joey sprinted after Janelle, finding cover just in time. The blocks rained down like a meteor shower, crushing against the beams and breaking apart. Fragments shot through the gaps in between the beams, pelting Joey and Janelle with rock particles and covering them in dust. Joey fumbled in his bag for the hand of glory. As he ran, he no longer cared how gross it was. In fact, Joey couldn't wait to slap the dead hand's palm against the door. Unfortunately, a chunk of rock the size of a bowling ball came through at the last second to knock his backpack out of his hand. Joey's stomach lurched as he watched the bag and the many magical items it contained go over the side of the bridge. So that's going to kill me. I don't think he's going to get the chance, Janelle wrestled with the door. Naturally, it was locked. The time Joey didn't hesitate. He pulled the wand out of his sleeve and thrust it forward. No, Janelle shouted, stepping to Joey's path. She swung the staff of sorcery as hard as she could. Sparks flew and the door splintered around the doorknob. She pushed it open and reached for Joey's hand. With no idea what they were getting into next, they dove for safety as the walls came crashing down. Okay, so I finished chapter 2 of this book. Right now we know that they were going to the office. Okay? In chapter 3 will be about the office. Here's the part of chapter 3. Now chapter 3 is office party. Okay? Of this book or majestic, the new world. Okay? I'll read chapter 3 in the next book. Alright? Bye! See you later. Bye. Have a nice day. Bye.